Hey guys, welcome back to Marsha Speaks. This is Marsha, and we're doing a review of Charmed Season 2, Episode 17. And we are switching up how the format of this video is going to be. If you have watched my previous videos that I have been uploading, the way I'm going to be reviewing is I'm going to be watching the show and then doing the commercials, doing the reviews. That way, it's just a switch up. So let me know if you like that format or you prefer for me to go back to the traditional way of doing things, which is just watching the show, doing the notes, and then coming back with the reviews. Okay, so let's get started. The episode starts off with Macy finally telling the sisters that she wants to break up with Julian, and I 1000% agree because she doesn't like Julian like that. They'll make a cute couple, but that's not where her heart is. And it would be really effed up if she just kept on dragging him along, knowing that she doesn't really have feelings for him the way that she is supposed to. And she also doesn't know officially yet how she feels about Harry, because the sister asks, are they like, is she breaking up basically because she likes Harry? And she doesn't confirm nor really deny that. She just says she doesn't know how she feels at the moment. From there, she goes to Julian's work, which is the Shade Group, and she is trying to tell him that she wants to break up with him, but he's very busy because there is a charity event happening that night. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, Maggie gets a call from Jordan, and Jordan tells her to come pick him up from Idaho, because the really great thing about this episode is that it literally jumps in where they left off the episode before. So Jordan is in Idaho. He finally finds a payphone and calls Maggie. And Maggie clearly knows that there's something wrong. And when Jordan gets back to headquarters, he tells them that Harry is pretending to be Jimmy and he's infiltrated the group, but he hasn't been able to contact Harry in a while. But the only thing he has is the license plate that he was able to remember. They have somebody named Chuchi run the license plates. Please explain below who Chuchi is, because I was confused. I was like, did they have connects like that at the police station? Because I can't remember if they ever really spoke about a Chuchi, if he or she was ever like that prevalent. Because the only person I remember that is a police officer is Mel's ex-girlfriend. Is that Chuchi? Like, I can't remember who Chuchi is. Comment down below if you know who that person is. But anyways, Chuchi runs the license plates, and the car that is part of the faction is it's signed off or owned by the Shade Group. So clearly they're finally connecting to the dots for us, stuff that we kind of have been predicting for a while now, right? And while Macy is with Julian, Maggie calls her and lets her know that Harry's missing, and the car that has Harry that is part of the faction is actually the Shade Group. Macy goes back to headquarters, clearly frazzled, and says, I don't know how I didn't notice these things, how I didn't pick up the signs. I'm like, yeah, I really don't know how you didn't pick up the signs either. You're supposed to be the smart one in the group, and bad writing's making you really dumb right now. And she says that Julian has to know. And I like that Mel kind of reins her in a little, because she's saying that Julian knows everything, and Mel's there's a possibility he doesn't know the depth that they're that the faction has done to the magical community, right? He probably doesn't know that they're kidnapping beings and torturing them and creating monsters. He probably doesn't know all of that stuff. And Macy's saying he knows because he knows he's very detail oriented. While she was with Julian trying to break up with him, he was running things to get the event together and going down to the minute details of what napkins they can and can't use. And Macy's concluding that type of personality has to know about the faction. From there, of course, Maggie is trying to get a premonition on the to see where Harry is. They do multiple stuff and it wasn't working. And finally, they did a combo of something that Julian owns and something that Harry owns. And she's able to find out that he is in S3, which is a basement level of the Shade Group. and they are trying to figure out how to infiltrate a high security location, and it's gonna be even more high security because there's an event that day. But of course, Macy having the connect, like she's still technically his girlfriend, decides like let's just go to the party and then see if we can infiltrate from there. I really like that plan, and the really great thing I liked about this episode or so far is that Jordan and Mel's dynamic, like they seem like they could be really great homies and friends, because they are finally showing Mel in the light that we all know her as, which is like she's the strategic head of this. She's the one that has like can kind of connect more with Jordan's military experience, because she was trying to come up with like 15,000 spells for just in case scenarios, and that's what you do at a battle plan. And her and Jordan are trying to figure out what they need to be able to make this mission a success. I'm glad that Jordan brought up that part of the high security protocol is voice recognition, and they need a spell that can do a mimic of one of the people, maybe Julian or whoever, to be able to get down to the basement level. I thought it was ridiculous. Like, this is what really irritated me about this part of the episode, is because if they had asked or kept the knowledge that the elder was willing to offer them, they probably would have known or had their own version of a voice mimic spell. Instead, they have to rely on Abigail, who has a nightingale spell, which is exactly what it is. It mimics somebody's voice in her mom's spell book. And to get that, you have to ask a demon for help, right? So they really fatally didn't want to do that, but they don't have a choice. And I'm like, you probably would have had a choice if you asked or actually accepted the help that the elders have. Because you're telling me that the Book of Elders doesn't have a mimic spell. The Book of Elders doesn't have a mimic spell, because you guys still have not fully deciphered the Book of Elders. And you're telling me that all the books in this place, there's not one mimic spell in there. There probably is, but you don't know. So instead, they have to rely on Abigail's spell, because that's one they actually know is in existence. But of course, like I said before, they don't want to do it. When they get to Abigail, Abigail is willing to give them or help them with the spell in exchange for a place to crash, because, like she said before, all of her businesses have gone belly up because she's no longer the demon leader, and she has no money and she has nowhere to go, and she still has this target on her back, which is still partially the Charm One's fault. The one thing that's really irritating me again about like their dynamic towards allies, is that they act like they have no responsibility as to Abigail's current situation, right? Like, Abigail lost her position because she was trying to help y'all, and now you guys are acting like, oh, that's her business, it's not ours. But I'm like, this is why the Charm Ones ain't got no allies. The original Charm Ones, they did a lot of stuff by themselves, but at the end of the day, they had allies in the magical community that they were protecting. This Charmed Ones, like this Power 3, they don't have any allies pretty much other than Abigail within the magical community. The only person they have is Harry, which is the White Lighter, and Jordan, who's a human. Like, he comes in handy. He pulls his own weight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, within the community that you're protecting, you have no allies. And is it possibly because A, y'all don't ask for help, and B, the allies that you do have, this is the way y'all treat them? Like, it doesn't make sense. But moving forward, but Abigail says that she can pull her own weight, because we all know she can, and she's like, oh, there's other things that she can do to help them. They're trying to figure out, and Johnny brings this up really well, like, you have all these potions in your bag, what makes you think that they're going to let you in with them? Great question. And who comes up with a clever solution? Abigail, because she has more experience in the magical aspect of the world. From there, they break up into groups. Maggie, Macy, and Jordan go together to the party, and Mel and Abigail stay back to be like the point persons in the headquarters, creating the potions and the Nightingale potion for whatever they need help with. Because the tool that they use to be able to bypass having the potions in their bag is that, I guess, Abigail has 2 purses, and if you put one in one purse, it transports to the other purse. So Macy has the one purse and they have the other one. So if there's ever anything that Macy needs or the group needs, they're able to transport the potions over to them. That is brilliant. Like, that's a game changer in my opinion. Like, because you can really do anything as long as you have somebody in the headquarters making the potions. And I'm wondering if Jordan can stay in the headquarters. Like, can they teach him the magic to be able to make the potions? Because are there certain aspects of the potions that require you to have magic, or are we just assuming that because they're witches? That's just a sidebar I was thinking about. Once they get there, part of the potion, the Nightingale potion, requires for you to kiss the person of the voice that you want. So Macy drinks the potion and she kisses Julian, because of course they're still boyfriend and girlfriend at this point, and she disappears saying that she needs to go to the bathroom. The one thing that is not in Julian's favor about whether or not he actually knows the depth of the evilness that is in this group is that the voice recognition actually lets him go all the way down to the basement level that they're holding Jimmy, Harry, So if he really didn't know anything about that part of the faction, he wouldn't have access to the sub-basement level that we're assuming all the magical creatures are in. So that really didn't look good for him. But when Macy gets all the way down to the sub-level, there's too many doors that says test subject, which we should have expected. And it was really cool how they showed you how the transport potions work, because she needed a way to hide, and they transported her a potion to be able to do that. But I just thought that was so interesting. She goes back up to the elevator to tell them that, telling them that they don't have, she needs a faster way to find Harry. And while she goes up, who's at the door to meet the elevator door, the lobby to meet her, is Julian. From there, she collapses. That's where I am right now. But the other sidebar I wanted to talk about is the fact that Jordan is such a smooth talker. He's able to do small talk and interact with Julian's aunt, and because of that, Maggie was able to see that the hand that was in her premonition is the aunt. So we know for a fact the aunt knows where Harry is, which we already knew because we knew the aunt is actually the leader of the faction. We don't know how to the extent that Julian's in this, but we know the aunt is. And they're piecing together that they know that the aunt is also part of this faction. They don't know what position she holds, but they know it. So I just like that this episode is actually leading us towards a specific destination. It's really great and refreshing. Okay, can we just agree that Macy is not good at impromptu at all? Julian's asking her normal follow-up questions and her answers are trash. So yeah, no, she can't do this. Espionage is not for her. While in the middle of Macy and her horrible espionage skills, Julian tells her that he saw his sister. Oh my gosh, he sees these articles. He saw his sister get ejected from the car. That was his story that he told a long time ago, a couple episodes ago. And what he didn't tell Macy was the sister, and he didn't tell her that there was a man that came in out of nowhere, healed the two women that were in the car accident, and left his sister for dead. We know that the way that he came into the scene, the man was a white lighter, and he was healing his charges, which were the witches, and the white lighter left the little girl for dead. It's really kind of sad. I'm wondering how many times Harry has done the same thing. Do they normally heal the innocents that were there? It's just really sad. But Julian saw this, that this man who did this out of nowhere, magically, came out but didn't save his sister too. And that is his reason. But they get not distracted. I guess they're distracted. They get distracted, and he says to be continued because he has to go do the speech for the charity event. While they're there, the aunt is talking to one of the investors, and the investors wants more assurance, and she is going to do a presentation of the success that they have done with the subjects that they have. Jordan and Maggie hear this, and they think that they're going to do something to Harry. And the only way for them to get down there, back down to the sub basement, with or without the magical detector, is to get somebody's voice that's going to be able to get them down there. So they ask Jordan to kiss the aunt so that they can steal her voice to get down there. And I think that's kind of like twisted. But the other thing I thought that was twisted about this like subsection is that Macy literally knows she's going to break up with Jordan. Macy knows she's going to break up with Julian. And she's like twisting her words to get Julian to open up about what is in the sub-level 3. And I'm like, that's really messed up, because you're telling him to like, oh, if you really want us to be together, you can hold secrets and all this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, you're holding a huge secret. And you know you're about to break up with this person. It was like kind of messed up. And I was like, really, this is the levels that we're really going to go to? I get it, but at the same time, that seems hella effed up. Meanwhile, Mel and Abigail are back home, and they need the magical detector that Abigail used in previous episodes to find Harry faster. I just thought that was a little weird, because if we're assuming that everybody on the 3rd floor on the sub-level 3 is magical, why would we use a magical detector to find Harry? Like, it would work if Harry's the only magical person in the room. It wouldn't work if there's multiple magical people in the room. You see what I'm saying? Like, it didn't make sense to find a magical detector. You need to find a type of spell that would specifically find Harry, not magic, because we're assuming that everybody in all the doors all the test subject doors has magical beings in there. That didn't make sense. But either way, they need the magical detector. Sure they do. And Abigail didn't bring that with her when she was running away. So they have to go back to her compound and see if they can find it. Mel uses Abigail's feelings for Harry to be able to get her to go back to the most dangerous place for her to be in. From there, they get there. It's a hot mess, because I guess they were having a raver, and they can't find the magical detector. And that's where we are. Okay, so we finally get some background on Abigail. Like, I've been saying for like episodes now, which you guys know, why Abigail was so infatuated with her demon side, and if she knows demons are so selfish and heartless and blah blah blah, like, why wouldn't she go to her mother's side? Definitely when her father rejected her. I mean, find out it's because her mother rejected her, or part of her as well, and crammed witchcraft down her throat and kept on reminding her that she was deficient, like there was something wrong with her, and that's why she doesn't want to embrace her witch side, because it was too much of a harsh reminder of what her mother thought she was, which was deficient, lacking, twisted, messed up. Meanwhile, while the hot mess that is going on with Abigail and Mel, Jordan, I'm proud of him. He said, no, I'm not kissing this random woman. I said they decided that the spell would work just as well with just saliva extract. So she decides to go over to the aunt and take the champagne that she was drinking, and just use the section of the champagne, like where her lipstick is, and that apparently worked for the spell. Okay, whatever. They go down, and while they're there, Abigail and them finally were able to find the magical device and send it to them. They go downstairs, and the device works to show where the magic is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So of all these test subjects, you tell me all these other doors that say test subject have no magic in it, like, what's in there? if there's only one test subject door that has magic in it, allegedly. Okay, we're just gonna continue to believe that lie. And they were able to get inside once Maggie remembered the code, and they find Harry. However, right behind them is a troop of security, and I'm just confused how the security didn't see them when the door was closing, because it made a thunk sound. You don't think the security know that someone was in breaching their door? Like, what? But okay. When they get inside and they finally find Harry. He's in a little tube of he's in a tube, and there is a Kadal demon and a banshee in there in different tubes with him. So they need to figure out how to get Harry out. Okay, this is just foolishness. So they went, by they, I mean Maggie and Abigail went back to Abigail's compound via Uber, and not the marble that brings people literally directly to the location that they want to be at. What? That doesn't even make sense. So clearly Abigail doesn't want to use her witch powers at all until she uses a blinding spell to get out of the situation that they're in. But that's just dumb. Like, why wouldn't you, like, this is what I'm talking about with the writing. Why wouldn't you use basic stuff like this? You've been using the marble as transportation for a while now. And then what's her name? Mel blames Abigail and says like, "Oh, if it wasn't for you, we would have used the marble instead of the Uber." And I'm like, "But you're an adult, and you have experience as well, and you know that the marble is the fastest way to get places. So why would you allow Abigail to trump you in the decision of whether or not you use specific transportation? That doesn't even make sense. So, whatever. It just doesn't make sense." So we see Maggie, Macy, and Jordan in the room, and clock is ticking because the aunt, Vivian, is with the benefactors, and they're trying to do the test subjects and stuff like that, or the presentation. And I'm like, they were able to stop them by messing with the control panel, and they need to figure out how to get Harry out. Before I said that a banshee and a Kadal demon was there as well, and while trying to figure out how to get Harry out, they accidentally start the magical transformation process, and it's like they don't care about anybody that's not, like, they don't care about life as long as it's like human life or wish life. Like, that's a little messed up, because the Kadal demon gets sacrificed because they accidentally started the transformation process, and then and so is the banshee sacrificed for the same reason. And when they get to Harry, all of a sudden now Macy wants to use her powers to break the pressure sensors that is keeping the pod in one place. And I'm like, that's messed up, because she in the beginning, the reason why she accidentally started the pressure sensor, the transformation process, was because she wanted to use her power because it could go wrong. And then she made the situation worse, and then still ended up using her powers, and it was fine. So I'm like, so we sacrificed two beings for no reason, just because you didn't want to use your powers, and you end up using your powers anyways. Like, what is going on here? This doesn't make sense. Like, what? So, to make matters worse, I think is also another part of the negligence. Maggie tells Mel, who they are assuming is in the headquarters, to catch. Not giving details, just the word catch. And she doesn't know what that means. But when they turn around, they see a portal is opened. And in the portal, all of a sudden, Harry's whole pod is like getting thrown into the portal. And literally, if it wasn't for Abigail, who caught it, Mel would have been dead. And they wouldn't have had anybody to revive her. What the foolishness? This doesn't make sense, y'all. And on top of that, all of a sudden they can open the little glass thing that you saw Harry's face. So you tell me y'all couldn't open this glass thing while y'all were inside? What? You had to take the whole tube thing with you? Really? Okay, so we have to tell another episode. And what? Okay, so they finally get, like I said, they got Harry out of the stuff, and they are at the monologue episode sections of the episode that ruin TV shows and movies, like I've said before. And Jordan and Maggie talk. They're cool now. They've apologized to each other. There's possibility of them being a couple, like we already knew. And we're starting to see Maggie getting those need for normality like Piper always had. That was interesting. And then we jump to Macy and Harry together. And Macy finally tells Harry how she feels. And we find out that Harry has amnesia. He can't remember anything. He doesn't know who Macy of all people is. Interesting. I haven't seen the promo, so clearly they're gonna delve into that aspect. But before we even get to my predictions of what is gonna happen in the next episodes to come, Harry's transformation was half, so that's why he's having amnesia, because half of his essence is not in his body, is in a little equipment contraption that they had before that was occurring, which I blame 1,000% to Macy. If she just used her powers from the beginning and never turned on the transformation thing, Harry would be back to normal. But writers, there has to be a plot to move forward to, right? But it was just makes me worried that Vivian said that they no longer needed the other creatures. They have what they needed now, and then we see in the little tube, in the little laser thing, is Harry's powers, or like the essence of Harry that was partially transferred, because one of the texts said that the transformation wasn't fully completed, it was halfway. So that's a problem. Like, you would think that Vivian is feeling defeated, but she was actually very excited, and that is not a good thing. So that is the episode of episode 17. That's my review of episode 17. And my prediction for episode 18 is that they're going to go and try to bring Harry back to being himself, try to figure out how to get the transfer part of Harry back to his body. Julian is going to be in that episode 2 is my prediction, because Julian still thinks that they're a couple, because Macy, being the effed up person that she was for 5 seconds, played with his emotions and made him think that they were actually going to be a long-term couple, even though she wants to break up with him. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen. Okay. And Jordan is going to move forward with Maggie. Mel is going to try to connect with Abigail. We're going to find out what happens to Abigail, like where she go. But yeah, those are my predictions. Tell me what you guys thought of this review. Do you guys prefer for me to go back to the way I normally do the format? And yeah, comment down below, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, guys.